I really wanted to have more of this review outside, but it hit 104 degrees today, so that wasn't gonna happen. Oh, another step in the right direction. Every time I make a video about Wear OS, I get the jokes, those jokes in my comments, we get it, but we also want to see good competition. And the future of Wear OS is looking interesting. Samsung will be teaming up with Google on future smartwatches. We're seeing better support for theming and customizing. We might have some expectations that Google could start merging some Fitbit features in there. All I'm saying is there's some potential, and a new generation of hardware is significantly improving real world performance. I'd say Mobvoi has been the single company most responsible for improving the Wear experience. From the original TicWatch introducing the 4 direction menus, there have been numerous good budget options. The TicWatch Pro LTE substantially improved battery life, and getting to the Pro 3, the feel of this watch is a completely different animal than all of those older watches we've played with in the past. Much more fluid, definitely more responsive, to the point where using little applets on your wrist is a viable alternative to always pulling your phone out of your pocket for short interactions. Now, the Pro 3 is still a solid buy and can be found on some decent sales. But Wear OS also needs some more mainstream options at lower price points, and that's where this comes into play. The TicWatch E3. No big surprise that it's a follow-up to the TicWatch E2, and while it's launching at a higher price than the E2 did, it's also bringing a lot of performance improvements. I can't lie, even though I'm not doing this outside in over 100-degree weather, even here in the office by this window, it's going to get a little humid in here. Looking at the hardware, it's a simpler casing than the Pro Series watches. We've got really clean lines, the same 2-button layouts for apps and workouts, easily swappable watch straps. I think it looks good. It should fit in well between workout and casual wear. The tech is the fun part, and we want to hit a price point lower than the Pro. But the compromises aren't on the inside technology. The stuff that makes Wear OS nicer to use is the same here as on the more expensive watch. Same processor, same RAM, same storage. This watch flies. And like its bigger brother, interactions are more responsive. I was never left with that old Wear OS lag where you couldn't tell if the watch really registered your screen tap, and then you go to tap it again to make sure, and then you double tap, and then you have to back all the way back out again, and you just pull out your phone because that was lame. In fact, here, waking up the screen is maybe even faster than on the Pro because we're not using that dual display trick. And starting a workout is immediately ready from this bottom button. The watch will auto track a workout based on your movement. If I go for a quick walk around the block, I always forget to start that tracking. But after a couple minutes, the watch will add that data to your fitness stats. We just expect 24-hour heart rate monitoring, but we also get blood oxygen tracking. It's all the same as the TicWatch Pro 3, and at a price where we can see some clear shots fired at watches like the Apple Watch SE. Now, to get to this lower price, there are obviously some compromises over the Pro. As mentioned, the Pro uses a dual display setup, which significantly improves battery life, and it gives you an easier screen to read in direct sunlight. The E3 does not have that second screen tech. The OLED is decently readable in bright daylight, but it's also a lower resolution screen than the one found on the Pro. I have pretty average eyesight, maybe I'm a touch farsighted, and side by side, I can see how the Pro screen is a little sharper. But on the wrist and when I'm out and about, I don't feel this detracts from that kind of at a glance style use. Lastly, the E3 does have a smaller battery than the Pro. So wrapping up the differences in screen tech, we do get shorter rated battery life than the Pro. Mobvoi's estimating about a day to a day and a half. With my use and 24-hour heart rate, but not automatic blood oxygen tracking, and I disabled the always-on display, and my short workouts, I'm not hitting the GPS too hard. This is a watch I would need to charge every 20 to 24 hours or so. I feel the runtime is better padded than on my Apple Watch, but we're not getting to 3 days of heavier use like I expect from my TicWatch Pro. Mobvoi has a whole suite of applets and a companion app for your phone. You'll see those Tic apps on a top button press getting to your app drawer: heart rate, oxygen stats, sleep tracking, meditation. And a few of those are duplicating the functionality of the apps that Google supplies for Fit. Some of these are nice to have, like I find myself testing sound levels around me more frequently than using a sound decibel level meter on my phone. And the phone companion app is nicely complete. After using some fitness trackers, I wish we could get into the body stats with just a bit more granular tracking. But I think a bulk of folks are going to be well served with what they can do here. Mobvoi has added more workout modes for various sports and martial arts, and a major update for this gen is Tic Care, where you can share your stats with family and friends. And I'm really happy to see that Mobvoi has worked out their data syncing issues, and now the Mobvoi companion app is sending information to Google Fit like it always should have. I use Google Fit for a lot of my tracking and for sharing, so this was kind of a pain point as Mobvoi was kind of working out some of the issues with this app. This kind of information is really personal, so you just want to have that feeling that something that's intimately tracking your personal body is at least communicating with your smartphone operating system to a degree that you feel safe giving it this information. One last point to mention, I gotta give Mobvoi some kudos here. It's been my biggest pet peeve with TicWatches in the past, that no two watches have used the same styled charger. Well, the E3 has the same magnetic pogo pin charger as the Pro, and that makes me happier than it probably should. I'm really hoping they stick with this charger moving forward. I feel that deserves a small shout out. Whew. Okay, wrapping this up, this is currently my favorite smartwatch brand. I know a lot of folks are probably well served with a fitness tracker. I prefer having a bit more computer on my wrist for shorter interactions. And not just getting a notification for a text, but being able to reply to that message and then also scroll back through my conversations. I wouldn't recommend buying a watch on the promise of future software, but it does seem like Google is trying to put a fresh spin on Wear OS, and I'm hoping we'll see Samsung come in with some more applets and better developer support. There's no official word that Mobvoi is going to update these watches to Wear OS 3, but the Pro 3 and the E3 seem to be rocking the hardware that will properly support future versions of Wear. For what the watch does today, though, we get a great mix of fitness tracking and applet support. The price is competitive against Tizen, which is on its way out, and it's a steep drop under the Apple Watch SE, which falls behind on a few of these lifestyle hardware features. And the performance here is a welcome step above the last generation of Wear watches. We're sure to see some more competition from Fossil and Samsung over the next year. But right now, Mobvoi, they're ahead of the curve. I'll of course leave some links below where you can find more info on the TicWatch E3, and maybe shop one of these puppies online. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. Supporting your favorite content creators has never been more critical than it is today, so I greatly appreciate those of you who are checking out the links below, maybe shopping a little merch. That kind of stuff really does help keep production rolling on this channel. You can catch a full list of all my affiliates and partnerships on SomeGadgetGuy.com, or you might consider, just maybe, joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is basically a collection of the coolest tech pals on the web, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, not so much on the Facebooks or the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next review.